We're back out here once again, and today we're talking about the 3, or rather 5 baits that are just killing it for me during the early part of the fall. What do I mean? Well, stick around. We're going to talk all about it. There we go, I got him. Ooh, that's a nice one. That's a good fish, kids. That's a good fish. Oh, you ain't going anywhere. I got him pretty good. And here is this video's featured comment. Congratulations! If you would like to have a chance to have your comment featured in an upcoming video, all you've got to do is leave a comment. And now, on with the video. Welcome back to Lowbrow Fishing. And here in South Mississippi, we are very much still dealing with the effects of the recent hurricane that blew in over old Lowbrow's head. It was a rough night, I can tell you that. But what it does to the fisheries around here is it makes them completely unfishable for a good while afterwards. You think that when a storm blows over your lake, it messes it up for a few days. That's nothing compared to what a hurricane does, which drops that barometric pressure to such an obscene level. So, to that end, I decided I was going to check the lake to see where those bass were at, to see what mood they were in, and if I could generate a few bites. But before we get started, I'd like to remind you that the good folks over at KalKal are still having that 40% discount for viewers of this channel off of their apparel, like what you see I'm wearing here. This is my way of saying thanks to you for all your continued support. So check out that link, check out these shirts, and get yours for 40% off. It's good for now until September 26, 2024. So time is running out. You might want to hurry. So what was I doing? Well, I was working the same baits that I've been working all through September and fine-tuning it and finding out that what bites I was able to get with those fish, which still really didn't want to cooperate the first day, but the second day they were more in the mood, so we're coming back around to normal. I was able to put some fish in the boat with a lot of the baits that have really been working for me so far this September into the early fall. You know, you guys have seen this. This is the good old beetle swim, what I call it. It's just a regular swim bait that I've got a 3-inch. This is a Rapala Crush City. This is the Mayor. This is the 3-inch version. I like these things. I'm going to have to get some more. But I've just taken a 1/4 ounce swim bait head and I just put the beetle spin clip on there. It works great. The one thing I would make sure is that you actually have the swim bait rigged so you've got enough of a hook gap so you're not losing fish. It was a tweak that I had to make, but it still works. So that's kind of like 1A. That's kind of like 1A as far as what we're talking about, the baits that are going to work. What I mean by 1A, well, there are other similar presentations that aren't really in the same category, but they're close enough that it's 1A and 1B. So the first thing that we're going to be talking about, obviously, is the beetle swim, which I can use this when those bass are feeling really finicky. I can work this real close to the bank, right along those weed lines, especially if I'm seeing some current. This works great with a little bit of wind. And that blade right there gives just a little bit of flash. It gives it just a little bit of thump. I've been able to catch some really nice fish. Now, I've waded through some dinks, but I've also caught some nicer fish using that presentation. And also something like, well, just a smaller spinnerbait in general. And this is actually just a tandem blade. This is I believe this is a 1/8 ounce. I'm not sure of the brand. It's either Strike King or Booyah. But again, we've got that Crush City Mayor on the back of it. I love these things as spinnerbait trailers. They are working so well. Like I said, I'm going to have to get some more of these. If you have a favorite trailer that you like for your spinnerbaits, drop it in the comments below. We'd like to hear about it. But these small spinnerbaits are working so well for me whenever that bite is finicky. This is what I'm starting out with. This is what I'm tying on and searching and covering water with. I can get a few bites on this. I know then I can expand through the rest of the day and see what other types of bites I can get. You guys remember this poor thing, right? This beat up and bent spinnerbait. So this was working before the storm and it's still continuing to work. I'm able to generate some really nice strikes using those smaller spinnerbaits. Now, along those same lines, like I said, we've got 1A. Well, this is 1B, a bigger spinnerbait. This is just your regular 3/8 or half-ounce spinnerbait, and I'm fishing it in much the same areas and much the same way. I'm looking for current, maybe looking for a little bit of wind. That can help. But because the water's so blown out and that water's so murky, I've actually gone to using these tandem willow blades. Now, I wasn't sure at first how the bass would react to that, but in the murky water, this seems to have a lot better flash. It actually seems to show up a lot better in the water, even though it's not going to make as much of a thump. But I was looking for more of a visual thing than something to stimulate their lateral lines, simply because if they're chasing a lot of small minnows and a lot of small bait fish, those minnows and bait fish aren't going to be putting out a lot of vibration in the water anyway. That's why I went with this. And again, same type of trailer. And this is just I guess you'd call this a sunfish imitator, and it was working very well for me. I've been able to put several nice fish in the boat using a larger spinnerbait. Using this particular spinnerbait, there's another one that's kind of like a gray ghost kind of color that's a tandem blade, but this right here has really been doing a lot of work for me. And I have to keep going back to that. Like I said, when those bites are getting rough, I start small, and whenever the bites start to even out and I know I can find fish with a spinnerbait, that's when I go a size up. Now, as far as the second bait goes, well, it's an old friend of the channel, the good old hard plastic jerkbait. And for a while, that jerkbait bite had kind of faded off. But now it's starting to pick back up, especially as things cool down, that water temperature comes down, and those fish are ready to start feeding for the fall feed. I've heard people say they put the feed bag on in the fall. And a jerkbait really comes into play with that, especially whenever you want to slow things down, whenever you want to still cover water, but you want to work that water pretty thoroughly. Now today I was trying some different things. I tried a wacky rig, I tried a Texas rig, and I wasn't able to generate any strikes doing that. So I went back with what I knew, I tied this on, and I'm telling you what, just a few casts later, well, this was the result. We are working with the good old chrome KVD jerkbait, the little 200 size. This thing has been a real trooper ever since I've had it. I mean, it's been a really, really good jerkbait. So we're going to try it a little bit through here. There we go, I got him. Ooh, that's a nice one. That's a good fish, kids. That's a good fish. Oh, you ain't going anywhere. I got him pretty good. I've got him pretty good. Oh, there we go. That's a nice fish right there. KVD jerkbait strikes again. Some in there. Nice fish on the KVD jerkbait. A little on the skinny side, but a really nice fish. Alright, dude, appreciate that. Thank you so much. Are you coming back up? Oh, no, he swam off. I thought it was going to be another trampoline fish. Alright, let's go get another one. So it was a nice bass. Long, but very skinny. And I swear I've caught that same bass before on a chrome jerkbait, on an H2O Express jerkbait this past summer. I'm going to put those fish side by side. You tell me what you think in the comments below. But the point is the jerkbait bite is starting to really heat back up again. For me, it's an all-year bite. It's an all-year bait. I always want to throw a jerkbait because they work so well. You can work them fast, you can work them slow. I tend to work them a little bit faster, especially in the warmer months, spring, summer, fall, and here in South Mississippi, and I can generate some really great strikes doing that. So a small jerkbait is what I start with, and if I can go up bigger from that, then I will do so, but I like to start with that and see if I can generate some inches from those bass. Now lastly, we've got a couple of very similar presentations. So it's going to be kind of like a 3A and a 3B. And first of all, it's going to be this guy. I had to put it in here because a lot of the really nice fish that I've caught have been on this. And this, again, is the silent one. If you have a highly pressured fishery, a square bill, a silent rattleless square bill is the way to go. I'm fishing this right near the bank. I'm fishing this in a lot of the same places that I'm fishing that small spinnerbait. It works exceptionally well. Don't be afraid to fish this near the bank. And again, like I said in the last video where we talked about these, I'm not fishing these like everybody else. I'm not burning them because everybody else is burning them and the bass have seen everything. I'm actually trying to be more erratic and I'm actually slowing things down. It's getting me some really nice bites. I've caught some really nice fish on this exact square bill. It's one of those things, once I have it tied on, it's really hard for me to take off simply because it produces so well. And along those same lines, well, we've got our last bait, our 3B, and that's the Little Bandit 200. This dives a little bit deeper than the square bill, and it's a little bit smaller presentation. I like to use this a little bit further off from the bank, especially with that thick hydrilla. I like to use it further back from those weed edges, and I'm still using it along current seams, hopefully in some wind, and it just tears them up. I've caught so many bass on this little crankbait, especially where those bass are still chasing those small fry. If I can find those balls of fry, I can throw this in there, and a lot of times, even after the hurricane, I was able to get a couple of nice fish using that technique. So that's what's been working for me. Those are the types of things that have really excelled. Things like small spinnerbaits, and even up to a larger 1/2 ounce or 3/8 ounce spinnerbait. Square bills have really been killing it. And I've been able to hit those spots where the bass are stacking up for the fall transition. As we talked about before, they're migrating from out deep. They find their landmarks. They find their waypoints that they've used for generations along those migration routes that they've used for generations. You can catch a few fish in that spot, go fish someplace else, come back a few hours later, and catch another fish or two as that place repopulates. And I'm using the lures that we just discussed. Those are the ones that I really don't have to change to anything else because that's what's being so effective for me. Give it a try. I'm really sure you're going to catch some nice fish using them. So there you have it. Some really great techniques for your early fall bass fishing. Around where I am, the fishing could not be harder right after that hurricane. And I am still able to generate some nice, decent strikes. So I know you'll have some great success with these. Thanks for watching Lowbrow Fishing. We'll catch you in the next one.